Welcome to MRL. In this learning session, we'll be learning about the types of quadrilaterals. The quadrilaterals are classified on the basis of pairs of parallel sides. If the quadrilateral has one pair of parallel sides, then it is called as a trapezium, and there are different types of trapeziums. There are the isosceles trapezium and the non-isosceles trapezium. And if the quadrilateral has two pairs of parallel sides, then it is classified as a parallelogram or a kite. Again, we have got special parallelograms known as rectangle, rhombus and a square. So we will be learning all the properties of all the different types of quadrilaterals one by one. So now let us begin with a parallelogram. Now a parallelogram is a quadrilateral in which the opposite sides are parallel. In this figure, ABCD is a quadrilateral. AB is parallel to DC and BC is parallel to AD, and therefore it is a quadrilateral but a parallelogram. In a parallelogram ABCD, AB is parallel to DC and AD is parallel to BC. So remember that a parallelogram is a quadrilateral in which the opposite sides are parallel. Now the properties of a parallelogram, we'll be studying the properties of a parallelogram in terms of sides, angles and diagonals. Now in terms of sides, the opposite sides of a parallelogram are parallel. The opposite sides are parallel. That is, AB is parallel to DC and AD is parallel to BC. And in a parallelogram, the opposite sides are equal. That is, AB is equal to DC and AD is equal to BC. That is in terms of sides. In terms of angles, the opposite angles are equal in a parallelogram. Angle A is equal to angle C, angle B is equal to angle D. Now in a parallelogram, the adjacent angles are supplementary. That means angle A plus angle B is 180, angle B plus angle C is 180, angle C plus angle D is 180, angle D plus angle A is also 180. Remember that. In terms of diagonals, in a parallelogram, there are two diagonals, AC and BD. The diagonals are unequal. That means AC is not equal to BD. Please remember, in a parallelogram, the diagonals are unequal and the diagonals bisect each other. That means O is the midpoint of both the diagonals, or OA is equal to OC and OB is equal to OD, and the diagonals form pairs of congruent triangles. If you observe here, we have triangle AOB congruent to triangle COD and triangle AOD congruent to triangle COB, and so on. There are different pairs of congruent triangles formed by the two diagonals of a parallelogram. Remember that. Now rectangle. A rectangle is a special parallelogram. A parallelogram in which one of the angle is 90 degrees is a rectangle. A rectangle is a parallelogram in which the diagonals are equal. So therefore remember, we call rectangle as a special parallelogram because in a parallelogram, if one angle is 90 degrees, it becomes a rectangle, and in a parallelogram, if the diagonals are equal, it becomes a rectangle. The properties of a rectangle, again let us study the properties of rectangle in terms of sides, angles and diagonals. In a rectangle, the opposite sides are parallel, opposite sides are equal. See, AB is equal to DC, AD is equal to BC, AB is parallel to DC and AD is parallel to BC. That is in terms of sides. In terms of angles, all the angles of a rectangle are equal to 90 degrees and adjacent angles are supplementary. In terms of diagonals, rectangle has two diagonals. The diagonals are equal. Again I'll repeat, the diagonals are equal. The diagonals bisect each other. That is, O is the midpoint of both the diagonals, and also the diagonal form pairs of congruent triangles. Now rhombus. A rhombus is a parallelogram in which a pair of adjacent sides is equal. So that means a rhombus is a parallelogram in which a pair of adjacent sides is equal. The properties of rhombus in terms of sides, the opposite sides are parallel. The opposite sides are parallel in a rhombus like a parallelogram, and the difference is all the sides are equal in a rhombus. Remember that. The opposite sides are parallel and all the sides are equal in a rhombus. In terms of angles, opposite angles are equal. Here angle A is equal to angle C, angle B is equal to angle D, and the adjacent angles are supplementary. Angle A plus angle B is 180, angle B plus angle C is 180, angle C plus angle D is 180, angle D plus angle A is also 180. Remember that. In terms of diagonals, it has two diagonals, AC and BD. Diagonals are unequal. That means AC is not equal to BD. Diagonals are perpendicular to each other. That means AC is perpendicular to BD. Diagonals bisect each other. That means O is the midpoint of both the diagonals AC and BD, and diagonals form pairs of congruent triangles. Please remember this. The diagonals divide this rhombus into pairs of congruent triangles, and both the diagonals diagonals form 4 congruent triangles here. So the triangle AOD, triangle COD, triangle AOB and triangle COB are congruent triangles. Remember that. Now square. A square is also a parallelogram in which a pair of adjacent sides is equal and one angle is 90 degrees. Therefore, a square is a special parallelogram in which one angle is 90 degrees and a pair of adjacent sides are equal. Remember that. Now, the properties of a square in terms of sides: opposite sides are parallel, all sides are equal. In terms of angles, all angles are equal to 90 degrees, adjacent angles are supplementary. In terms of diagonals, it has 2 diagonals. The diagonals are equal, diagonals are perpendicular to each other, diagonals bisect each other, diagonals divide squares into pairs of congruent triangles, and these are the properties of a square. Remember that. Now coming to the kite. A quadrilateral in which opposite sides are parallel and pairs of adjacent sides is equal is called a kite. Therefore, in this quadrilateral, we have AB parallel to DC, BC parallel to AD, and AD equal to CD, and AB equal to BC. So this is not a parallelogram but a kite. Opposite sides are parallel but adjacent sides are equal. So please remember that. A kite is formed by joining bases of 2 isosceles triangles. What does that mean? Now we have 2 isosceles triangles here. ADC is one isosceles triangle, ABC is another isosceles triangle. If we join these 2 isosceles triangles at their base, then we get a kite. Remember that. Now the properties of kite. In terms of sides, opposite sides are parallel. We have got AD parallel to BC, AB parallel to DC, and the pair of adjacent sides are equal. We have got AD equal to DC and AB is equal to BC. Remember that. Then in terms of angles, a pair of opposite angles is equal. We have got a pair of opposite angles equal and adjacent angles are supplementary. So please remember this. Only one pair of opposite angles, that is angle DAB and DCB, are equal in kite, and also the adjacent angles are supplementary. That is angle B is angle A plus angle B is 180, angle B plus angle C is 180, angle C plus angle D is 180, and angle D plus angle A is 180. Remember that. In terms of diagonals, it has 2 diagonals. Diagonals are unequal. We have got diagonal AC and diagonal BD, which are unequal. Diagonals are perpendicular to each other and only one diagonal is bisected. If you observe here, only the diagonal AC is bisected by the diagonal DB. Remember that. Now coming to the next important discussion, that is trapezium. Now a quadrilateral in which a pair of opposite sides is parallel is called as a trapezium, and the non-parallel sides may be equal or unequal. Therefore, a trapezium is a quadrilateral, all right. Only one pair of opposite sides are parallel, and the non-parallel sides are either equal or unequal. Now we have got 2 types of trapezium, that is isosceles trapezium and non-isosceles trapezium. In isosceles trapezium is that in which one pair of opposite sides are parallel and the non-parallel sides are equal, that is AD is equal to BC. In non-isosceles trapezium, one pair of opposite sides are parallel and the non-parallel sides are unequal here. That means AD is not equal to BC. Remember that. Now the properties of non-isosceles trapezium. In terms of sides, a pair of opposite sides is parallel, that means AB is parallel to DC. Non-parallel sides are unequal, that AD is not equal to BC. In terms of angles, the angles at the ends of the non-parallel sides is supplementary. The angles at the end of non-parallel sides, the non-parallel sides at AD and BC, therefore the angles at the end of BC is angle B and angle C. When we add angle B and angle C, it is 180. Add angle A and angle D, it is 180. Remember that. Now coming to the next point of our discussion, the base angles are unequal. If you take an isosceles, non-isosceles trapezium, the base angles and angle A and angle B are unequal, angle C and angle D are unequal. And the diagonals in a non-isosceles trapezium, a trapezium has 2 diagonals and the diagonals are unequal. A very important property which you have to remember here. The diagonals are unequal, it has 2 diagonals and the diagonals are unequal. Now coming to the properties of isosceles trapezium, a trapezium in which a pair of opposite sides are parallel and the non-parallel sides are equal is an isosceles trapezium. So we have AB parallel to DC and AD equal to BC in a isosceles trapezium. So in terms of sides, a pair of opposite sides is parallel, that means AB is parallel to DC, and the non-parallel sides are equal, that means AD is equal to BC. In terms of angles, the base angles are equal. That means angle A is equal to angle B and angle C is equal to angle D. And the angles at the ends of non-parallel sides is supplementary. Therefore, if you take the non-parallel sides here, that is BC and AD, we can add B and C. It will become supplementary. They are supplementary angles, and also angle A plus angle D is 180 or supplementary. Now, the diagonals, there are two diagonals. That is AB, that is AC and BD, and the diagonals here are equal. Please remember, in an isosceles trapezium, the diagonals are equal and the diagonals intersect to form similar triangles. Again, remember, the diagonals intersect here and the intersecting point is O. It forms two triangles here, triangle AOB and triangle COD, which are similar triangles. So these are the properties of what you call quadrilaterals, different types of quadrilaterals on the basis of the number of pairs of parallel sides. And please remember these properties, very useful properties for calculations, for understanding the basics of geometry, and also we can apply them in proving so many theorems in geometry. So learn them, repeat your reading, and also listen to what I have spoken to you. Scribble them in a book, put it in a book, note down in a book, so that it will help you to refer whenever you need. Thank you.